Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's great to see you all in here so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking some time out of your Wednesdays to join us. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unsettled live Q&A for the virtual retreat. Thank you all very much for joining us. It's good to see you all here. It's a happy moment when everyone jumps into the room for the first time. So very grateful that you're all here. Before we get started today, and as people are continuing to join in, I wanted to share some quick tech notes so that everyone's on the same page about how we're doing these things. First of all, if you haven't been here before, welcome to Zoom. So this is actually the same platform that we use to host our virtual retreats throughout the month. So you're getting a bit of a primer here on how a live session actually feels. Make sure that your microphones are set to mute for now, and we are going to be on mute for the entirety of the call, so we don't have too many people trying to speak over one another or too much construction noise in the background. However, the chat box is open. So feel free to jump into the chat right now and say hello. That's what we're going to be using to ask our questions for the Q&A portion. So jump in there right now. Tell us where you're calling in from, anything that you want to know or hear from us during our 30 to 45 minutes today. So with that, let's jump into the fun. I want to officially welcome you to Unsettled's Lifestyle Incubator webinar. Congratulations. So let's do some quick introductions first, and then we're going to do an agenda. What are we going to be talking about today to let you know sort of what our plan is. So my name is Corey. I'm calling in today from Memphis, Tennessee, and I am the Unsettled's virtual retreat experience leader. I have been with Unsettled now for just over 2 years. I've led about a dozen retreats around the world. And then this year, of course, I've been having fun fitting all of that into your computer with our Unsettled virtual retreats. When I'm not here, when I'm not here on this very sofa speaking into my computer, I am outside probably shooting photos, learning bird calls, working the land, you know. I am pleased to be joined today by Jonathan, one of Unsettled's co-founders and virtual retreat co-instructor, calling in from Puerto Rico. John, why don't you say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Corey. Hey, everybody. Great to see you. Some familiar phrases, some new faces. Phrases? I don't even know what a phrase is. Faces. So I'm Jonathan, one of the co-founders of Unsettled and one of the co-facilitators of the virtual retreat. I'm calling in from sunny Puerto Rico at the moment, where I live. I've been on this crazy Unsettled train for, the past 4 years full-time, 6 years overall. And it's been quite a wild ride, which I'll share a little bit more with you before we kick off. But that's me. And I would love to introduce our alumni. We have a couple alumni joining us from the May Lifestyle Incubator program. So they just finished. Their heads are spinning. They look excited. You might be able to point them out. We've got Juan Botero, who's calling in from France. Give a little wave, Juan. We can see you. You might be on another page. There you are. We've got David Home calling in from San Francisco. Hey, David. We've got Mike Bridget calling in late night in Cambodia. There's Mike. And we've got Mandira Nayak calling in from Romania. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us and for sharing your experience. I think probably some of you saw one of these calls a couple months ago before you joined, so you know how fun and interesting and helpful they can be. So with that, welcome. Back to you, Corey. Give them the agenda and we'll kick things off.
Yeah, will do. And I'd like to add my thanks, guys. It's good to see you again. My Sundays have been different without you. So here is our plan for the call today. We're going to start with the backstory. How did we get here? John and I are going to set this up a bit more and talk about Unsettled and how we ended up here today. Then we're going to do a brief overview of what is the Lifestyle Incubator, what is our virtual format, what it's about, who it's for, things like that. Then we'll move on to the alumni Q&A, since there's no better person to speak about our Lifestyle Incubator than our participants, right? We're going to open up the floor to our incredible alumni that we've just introduced to share their stories and answer your questions. And then Afterward, we're going to have an open Q&A to give you a chance to ask questions for Jonathan and myself or our alumni crew together. And then that should take us to our full time, about 30 to 45 minutes. So let's go ahead and kick it off. We want to start at the beginning, right? And tell you a little bit about Unsettled. And there is no better man than to do that than one of the co-founders himself. John, I'm going to pass it off to you because you are certainly the expert in this story. Let's hear it.
Thanks, Corey. So yeah, I just wanted to give us a little context for those who, some people who've maybe been following us for years, dreaming of joining us in Bali. Some people maybe have discovered us a week ago, a month ago. So just wanted to very quickly ground us in, who are we? How did we get here? It was actually just about 6 years ago that my co-founder Michael and I organized a sailing trip with 40 of our friends from around the world. And, we're both skippers. And so we self-organized the whole thing. We were our own captains, our own crews, our own cooks, our own cleaners, and more. And this kind of thing we had never done before, right? And the intention was really just a fun vacation to bring a bunch of people that we didn't see very often together. Lo and behold, it became something much bigger than that. And the reason is most of us at that point happened to be either entrepreneurs, freelancers, or people working independently, or we were in transition, right? Thinking deeply about what we wanted to do next, how we wanted to design our lives and reconfigure our careers. And in both instances, I think we often found that the kind of thinking that we were doing, the kind of growth that we were aiming for, the kind of evolution that we were hoping in our lives and careers was happening a lot in isolation, right? Without this system or company to support it. And so what happened on that experience is that it became one of the most powerful vehicles for deep conversations, connections, and memories, both personally and professionally. And coming out of it, I think we realized that if you bring the right community of people together with a shared set of values, right? An openness, a curiosity, a desire to co-create and contribute, and a willingness to ask the bigger questions, incredible things can happen, right? And so fast forward 6 years, Unsettled has run over 100 in-person retreats in 20 plus locations around the world. We've got a global alumni community of probably now over 2,500 people from 80 countries, all different backgrounds, professions, industries, who all share in this sort of common desire to push their boundaries, ask the big questions, and do so with an intentional community of people. It's been an awesome journey. Despite all that's going on with COVID and us not being able to travel, we are grateful to still be here doing what we love, which brings me to this Lifestyle Incubator. Living Unsettled is not just about where you go or where you are. It's as much an approach as it is anything else. And we really believe that you can unsettle yourself with thinking from anywhere. And so 7 months ago, just about 7 months ago, we launched our Lifestyle Incubator program, which is, as you hopefully know, now that you're here, a highly interactive and unconventional 4-week virtual retreat designed to challenge you to discover what's next in your life, career, and all those funny gray areas in between. We combine live sessions, workshops, tools, frameworks, and conversations to really help you identify the tensions between the lifestyle you want and the career trajectory that aligns your values, interests, and skills. We've done 5 of these programs so far with about 35 people on each from usually 15 to 22 countries. So super diverse, as you'll see in today's call. And before I pass it over to Corey to just give a quick bit of structure to help you understand it, I will quickly say a couple things that it is not. So this is not a typical online course. It's highly interactive and community driven. Lifestyle Incubator is not about finding your dream job, becoming a successful entrepreneur or freelancer. We don't have some BS 5-step solution to success. We are not Tony Robbins, Tim Ferriss, or, enter whoever you want in there. Our goal is really to provide sort of no bullshit frameworks, tools, and resources that help make that decision or set the right intention for you. Our methodology is rooted in asking tough questions and going through a personal process in a shared environment. And that's what we mean by ultimately an interactive and peer-to-peer experience. It's not something that you're sitting and passively consuming. It's live, it's involved, it's fun, and it is fascinating, like hopefully this call will be. So what is it? Corey, since you are the master of ceremony, you want to share a bit about the structure and the design?
I would be happy to. It would be my pleasure. Thank you for setting us up by describing what VR is not, but let's talk about what it is. So this experience, as John kind of mentioned, is modeled from the 30-day retreats that we've been running all over the world for the last 3 years. Nearly every participant who joins us, we've found, has done so to set some time aside to think about what is next for me. So we've developed all these workshops and experience designed to help you live your life a little more intentionally. But now we've taken that structure that we've run hundreds of times all over the world, and we've put it online. So over 30 days, we host 12 live sessions for you and a community of your peers that introduce tools and frameworks that will help you take inventory of your experience of your life, and then help you put thought into where you want to be. And this happens through 5 different ways. First of all, we have 16 hours of live workshops and sessions that are also recorded and available 24/7 to you anytime afterward. These are going to be 2-hour sessions twice a week and working sessions. These are not lectures, these are not webinars, where we dive into new concepts and tools to help you sort of process different phases of your journey. Like, for example, one that we really love to use is the Japanese philosophy of Ikigai, which is designed to help you figure out what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, what the world needs, all as a means to help you identify your purpose, your life's purpose. Seriously. Then the second thing that we offer during the month are 8 offline exercises, worksheets, frameworks, assignments that are intended to help you support yourself in your journey, sort of to bring the work into your own homes and into your own routines. And then these are also things that can be used again and again and again long after we have finished our month together. Number 3, we offer 8 open office hours. These are just facilitated conversations with you and a small group of people in your community to help you process with others and who are on similar journeys, right? It's a chance to go a little deeper into concepts, to draw a little more meaning from the well. Number 4, we have extra one-on-one sessions with your lead facilitators or your Unsettled co-founders, Jonathan and Michael. And then 5th, we bring it all together using a live community platform where you can connect with one another, post articles, share pictures and videos, and discuss daily with more than 20 other people, professionals from around the globe. In our last cohort, I think, guys, we had over 4,000 just on our public channels. And that doesn't even include like the private conversations that you guys were having, you know, in the one-on-ones. And that, I think at the end of the day, is really one of the most integral pieces of this whole puzzle, right? The community. Would you guys, would the alumni agree? Yeah. So imagine for a moment, a community where a question like, hey, do you mind helping me with my life's purpose for just a sec? Is like a totally normal question. You know, all of us, no matter if you're on this call or not, have some big questions that are swimming around our brains, but so often that's where they stay, because talking about them to other people is weird and vulnerable and uncomfortable, but not here, guys, not on this retreat. When you sign up, you and everyone else have literally invested in the time and the space to think and to put together an intentional plan to design the life you want and the career you want to have. And for many people, that's a team sport, right? We all may be on different journeys. We all may have different ideas, but a lot of us need that accountability and that support and that honesty from someone else. And that's how this month is done together. That's how we do it. Would you agree, Jonathan? I'll turn it back to you.
Agreed, 100%. Very well said, Corey. Thank you for that. So you have heard enough from us. Let's hear from actually people who have gone through this experience. They're going to be way more interesting and have way better stories than we do, although we have stories about them that maybe we can tell you later. Awesome. So again, in May, we had 41 people from 22 countries joining the program. It was awesome. It was such an interesting and diverse group of opinions, conversations, backgrounds. And so now we're going to open it up to 4 of them, Juan, David, Mandira, Mike, to share a little bit about, their experience. And as we do this, I just want to remember every single person's experience is personal, right? A unique journey based on their own personal experience, journeys, perspectives, and where they are at, where they were at in life. Which is why I'd like to start with the first question. We're going to do a popcorn, just everybody answers this one. And then from there, we'll kind of bounce around. You guys all know each other and how to do that very well by now. But for this one, we'll just go one at a time. I'd love for you all just to share your story of, how and why you ended up joining the Lifestyle Incubator. Like, what have your past few months or years looked like? I mean, minus COVID, obviously a big impact there. That just made you feel like that this experience was the right step for you. So about 2 minutes each. You know how to stick to time. You've become well trained. So I'm going to popcorn it to Mike. You're going to go first. I'm going to pick on you. Kick it off.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike. I'll give you one pro tip real quick. Turn off your self view. It makes it a lot easier to connect with people talking, because I stay looking at my own face just all the time. For me, I live in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. I've been here for the past 4 years now, and I sort of came here to start a business and eventually found my way back into playing music, and it's been a lot of fun. And I found myself sort of in this sort of big fish, small pond situation, and was just really busy running around. And I mean, I hate to bring it up, but because of COVID, I ended up sort of like, it shut down all the shows. There was no music to play. There were no gatherings. There was nothing. So everything that I had been doing, the money I had been making, how I'd been paying my bills, everything had sort of ceased. And I was sort of left with that feeling of just sort of not really knowing where to go next with that. And also sort of like a certain depression when it comes in. When that came in, it was tough. It was tough to deal with. And I wanted to use my time more wisely than trying to sort of like find new shows or make new events that, again, no one could go to. So for me, I sort of really wanted to sort of figure out that path. And that is when Unsettled was brought up to me. That was pretty much it. I had to think about it for a while. I had to talk to Jonathan a little bit. But ultimately, it was a sort of a great opportunity to, like they kind of said everything, but sort of work with a group of people where you can sort of have these conversations about what you're going to do, who you're trying to be. And it's hard to sort of express how much power is in that. Just being able to literally share with other people that are where you are. Because I was kind of surprised with the people that were in there, but it was like, for a few of them, it was like, what are you even doing here? But, they turned out to be just, again, offer so much great information, so much great feedback, and give that opportunity to speak what is on your heart and make it real in a way that it wasn't before. So that is my story, and I'm just going to popcorn it over to David. You're on, my man. Go get him.
Thanks, Mike. Hi there. I was going to say good morning, but then I realized people are from everywhere. So just hi. Hope you're having a great day or a good evening. I was born and raised here in the San Francisco Bay Area, here in the United States. I currently live in Berkeley and really enjoy everything that California has to offer, whether I'm running or biking up or down mountains, on or under the water. It's great here in California. And I've always enjoyed learning new things, figuring out how things work, solving hard problems, and was able to build on top of that a very varied and fun career in technology and consulting. Over the years, I have been very grateful to have worked at very large companies as well as small companies. Having started 3 companies on my own as well. However, over the past several years, I started to feel like I wanted to find a way to give back to society in a more impactful way. Something more than how do we increase revenue, or how do we become more productive, or whatever my client maybe wanted. So I started doing a lot of reading about passion projects. I started taking online quizzes. I started talking with my friends. And ultimately, I spoke with a wonderful, wonderful person, a friend of mine, who attended one of the virtual retreats. And she talked about a lot of what Corey and Jonathan touched on, right? This framework and this set of tools, the approach of interacting, right, and making it a very interactive program, and the community, right, the people that she met online through the process. And I'm just going to echo what Corey and Jonathan, Mike have said. It's been absolutely amazing meeting these people from around the world that I'm still in contact with, that I hope to continue to stay in contact with. And it's been a wonderful just experience in learning more about myself, and then having some tools and frameworks that will help guide me as I think about what's next for me. And I'll pop it over to Mandy.
Thanks, David. Hello, everyone. I see some familiar faces from Mastermind, so it's good to see some of the known faces here. So I'm originally from India, currently based out of Romania. And if I have to talk about my story, I think it starts with some of the essentials, which is like my values. And two of my values, which I realized quite earlier in my life, it was freedom and people. And this is where I ended up taking the education, which was not the conventional one. So I ended up studying maritime engineering, and then I set my sail across. So I was traveling offshore across different continents. And for last 13 years, I have been with an organization in an energy sector. So been to different places, met plenty of people across different nationalities, worked with them in multiple roles. And somehow I felt like I was content until the time I hit my 30, and I was like, okay, but what's my purpose? And that was, I think, if I recall correctly, it was around 2015, 2016, where I was questioning myself, okay, I've worked with the same organization, been in multiple roles, that's totally fine, but how do I show up in this world, and what's my purpose? And I went to my manager and I said, I think I need to quit, and I just need to take my time off. And he convinced me, just go on a long vacation if you can, and we can see if you want to quit, that's one day decision if you want to quit. And then I was searching back in 2017, I was searching and I found the Unsettled Porto trip somehow coming up, where they talked about the people, purpose, and place. So here I was asking my manager, okay, I'm going for 1 month's vacation. I went to Porto, I was still based in Romania, and there I landed up with the people who are not from my industry. It was completely diverse crowd, the community, the comfort, like-minded people, like we said. And that's where I got introduced to the concept of Ikigai and somehow grounding myself to the purpose itself. So, I mean, this was my encounter, how I met Unsettled. And I think since then, the community element, I think few of you are already familiar. We stay in touch, and somehow it's a support system also. And the elements which I learned about the purpose part of it, somehow I took it back. I didn't quit. I didn't go on sabbatical, and I came back and I took a promotion and I continued my journey, though it was with a balance. And I ended up keeping that balance, somehow keeping that check with myself. But again, now 2.5 years later, I was telling my manager, okay, I've done this part. I think there's an element which showed up on my Ikigai consistently that I need to work on something else and as a meaningful impact. So I would still like to continue and go on my sabbatical. So in March, we ended up being in Sri Lanka with Unsettled for a week, and then we came back, and then we were in lockdown. I was still supposed to do a couple of weeks of my work and go on my 6-month sabbatical. My manager said, maybe it's not the right time to go on sabbatical, you cannot travel. And I said, no, I think it's the right time to go on sabbatical because I can use this time with the least distraction to reflect. And somehow this virtual retreat, the way it's structured, I spoke to Jonathan and spoke to some of the people who have been in this virtual retreat in Sri Lanka also. It made me realize I think this is the right time, and it's no better way to kick off my sabbatical by just reflecting inwards and seeing where I want to go next. But first step is knowing who I am and where I want to go, right? So it's about knowing yourself. So that's where I was, and I'm glad I enrolled for this. So over to Juan, I think.
Yeah, thanks, Mandy. Hello, everyone. I'm Juan. I'm from Colombia, but I've been living in France for just a couple of months now. Before I was in Spain, and before I worked in Colombia, mostly in my background is an engineer. I worked like in product development and on marketing, and I feel I escalated the corporate ladder like pretty quick and successful by traditional normal standards of the world success. And I got like fed up with it, with what I was doing regularly on my job, and I tried like to escape. And first I went and study gastronomy, and then I end up working on a food lab with and doing research for like food tech research. And I developed a project that I really enjoy. And at the end, when the project was done, I ended up like doing like the same thing that I was doing before. Like I end up like in a whole new industry, but doing like the same things, like the product development and marketing. I end up like in the same place. So this is something like keep happening. I try like to not escape, but like trying to reframe where my north is, and probably you're gonna find more about north later. So then I found I was in this place where I felt like I need like something like really different. Like how can I break from this like traditional or from the same I don't know how to say this, but like the same things that keeps me bringing to the same place. So I like started doing some search. I found the Ikigai framework, and I try like to do it myself, and it's pretty interesting. But I lack like this. I felt I lacked like a community, like people doing like the same thing as I was doing, and it was COVID, so it was so hard like to meet people, and then I found this, and I know like everyone has said it before, but I think it's because I guess it's true. And the people that you meet in Unsettled, like they make like the whole thing, like they take like to the next level. Like all the framework, they're great. Like doing Ikigai by yourself, or doing it like mentored by Corey and the team. It's a completely different experience. Like you get like to share your expectations with people, and your fears, and as I don't remember because everyone has said this, but like it's so open, like something. It's not even like with your closest friends, I guess you can do this, because you're talking like to someone like on the other side of the world, and they don't really like, they're like so honest and like not biased at all, because when you talk like to family member or to a friend, like of course you're a little biased, but here you don't know this person, and you really like are interested like on this person, like to get some out of it. So yeah, people, it's what I get the most out of this, and we'll still talk a lot, and that's like the story.
That's awesome, Juan. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys, all four of you, for sharing that. Okay, yeah. So obviously, as you guys can tell, we've had a lot of time and a lot of fun conversations, during our month together. But I'd like to ask you now about more about the program, the framework, the exercises that you experienced. What's one thing that challenged you or surprised you about these things? And I'll throw that to maybe David. Let's hear from you.
Thanks, Corey. all the frameworks actually were super helpful and things that I think over time I will have now as, arrows in my quiver or, tools in my toolbox, whatever the right metaphor is. I think one of the things that surprised or challenged me was I think I have a lot of, fear of missing out, right? And, I'm always thinking to myself, oh, I should be doing this, or what about this, or I have to be good at that. And one of the exercises that we did was this life compass where, it was really around identifying the things that are most important to you. And of course, those may change over time, but going through that process and having that support group that we've all talked about was fantastic, right? And the realization that I made was, hey, I'm actually living in alignment with the things that are most important to me, and that's great. And now that I know that these are the things that are most important to me, I can kind of let go some of those other things, right? And really focus my time on the things that are most important. So that was an important realization that was very meaningful to me through the whole process.
And thanks, David. I want to popcorn a similar question, or that one, to Mike, because aside from being up late every time you did this, and interestingly enough, having your partner living in the same locked down apartment with you, also doing the program, I'm curious if your challenge around the frameworks or anything, like was there a challenge that sticks up to you in all of that? I'm curious to hear from you, because you had a pretty unique experience in many ways.
All right, so here's all my stuff. Like a lot of the challenges, I found them to be helpful more often than not. I think that doing it with my significant other during the lockdown definitely put us in a bit of a sort of a weird place with one of the ending ones, one of the last sort of 2 or 3 that we really do, where we spent like an entire day sort of agonizing over something and just got into fight after fight until eventually, we just show up at the call. It's like, I got nothing. Whatever. I can't do this anymore. And even that turned out to be, a pretty good situation. It gave us a chance to sort of recognize a problem that we both had in terms of just taking everything so seriously, even when like it's in the instructions not to do that, right? Where you're talking, what am I going to do? What's a way to put together some sort of new, like an idea and see where that goes. Just take it in your mind and see where it goes. And we sort of struggled with it. We really both couldn't sort of let go of this idea that we had to be right all the time. So it turned out to be a really useful and very necessary thing for us to do.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, feel free. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I have another question. Feel free to throw up some questions into the chat as you're listening. We will get an opportunity to answer some of those a little bit in just a sec. But I just want to know. I want to hear one more time. I think from Mandy and Juan. What's next for you guys? I mean, what did you find from this workshop that you're excited about? Let's have Mandy go first.
Well, I'm excited about to be able to know the tools, to be honest. And I think the entire month, this is my insight. I was not really focusing on an output, a specific output. It was more about how I enjoy the process itself. And this month, I think, like I was saying, as my first month of sabbatical, and I feel I've been just working on myself. So this month I plan to even assimilate further the tools, what I have learned, to see and go into the mode of taking small experiments. And that's the way to go towards the required direction, the true north, what I expect to head towards, but just get into the mode of experimenting and not really forcing too much that I have to go and stick to my trajectory as specific as possible. Juan?
Yeah, it's funny because it's pretty similar. I walked in like with a very specific goal that I wanted like to fulfill during this during the whole month, and I expected like to have like a very clear vision of what my next step should be, and instead I didn't, and but that's like a great thing. Like now I feel that's like amazingly like insightful. Like how can I now like approach like this transitions and this periods of life with a totally different mindset. So for me, it's like I also walk out like with like some experiments, like to start just like, you know, just go and do it, just try all these things. Is that because you can have like I could have come out with a perfect plan on a paper as I thought I would, and I think that would have been like totally useless because I go out to reality and implement it, and probably it's going to be worse. But if I have like several experiments like to start trying out prototypes, you know, it's going to be much more rich. So I came out with that, and I'm on that right now. I've in this past 2 weeks after the retreat ended, I've talked to many of my former, we're still in a group, we'll still talk a lot, and I think everyone is like on this page of just like going out and try a lot of things, you know, just go and then like, yeah, that's it, that mindset.
Thanks, Juan. Yeah, I think a lot of the incubator is about process, right? It's not about a specific destination or it's an outcome, because the destination and the outcome is going to be different for all of us at different points in our lives. And we really, as you guys said, focus on the process, right? How do we navigate? You know, Unsettled story started in sailing. You know, we are avid sailors, and we pull so many different examples and metaphors of how we navigate the world around us and how we navigate the physical environment, and how we navigate our lives, because there are a lot of parallels within that. And so, you know, it's not the tools to get a specific answer, it's the tools to navigate the questions that are going to put you on the trajectory that is where you want to go, and knowing that it's going to change. I mean, I think, Juan, you said, you know, putting a plan on paper is great until the world does something different. You know, it comes at your doorstep and says, well, that's not what I had planned for you. So thanks for sharing, guys. I'm going to kick up. There's a couple of questions in the chat. I think we can either rapid fire through or kick it off to different people. There's a grandmother of 2 at 64. Is there an age limit? Absolutely not. We have had, I think you would not be the oldest who has joined the incubator. I will say that for sure. We've had from 24 to 70 something. And so it really, I think everybody here would agree, it's about your mentality. It's about where your mindset is, and it's not about what age you are. Age is entirely irrelevant to moments of transformation. Different schedules and different time zones from Mark. Yeah, let's just say, I think the only people who have a really tough time are those in Australia. Less tough time for those in other parts of Asia. Everybody else, it's quite, you know, we do it around 11 or 12 a.m. or 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Eastern time generally, but ultimately we decide that based off of the cohort. So we figure out where everybody is. We have this giant spreadsheet to understand everybody's time zones, and we try to make it work as best as possible. So that's how we address that. And it changes a little bit each month depending on where everybody is. We have Claria's mother there. Hi, Claria's mother. Claria is one of our experienced leaders at Unsettled. Just for context there, she's wonderful. She has a similar role to Corey in person and also doing some digital stuff as well. So fun. Hello. Can we do the retreat 2 people together at the same house? I would talk to Mike about that. From us, it's totally okay. But yes, we actually have had a number of people, especially on the last retreat, do it together. You know, I've actually done a lot of the exercises that we do with my partner, and actually done them as a couple in defining what's next in our relationship. How do we want to grow? So actually it's quite interesting. And again, as we said, these tools are quite adaptable, and you can use them not just for your own life and direction or your own career, but also, you know, for a business or for a relationship. So, you know, be ready to embrace the unknown on that one. Depends on the partner. So that's what I would say about that. Corey, is this for someone well on their way to defining one's passion and putting it into practice, or fresh? What do you think? Or do you want to pass it on to some of the alumni?
Yeah, that's a good question. The short answer is absolutely. Yeah, just because you're well on your way to defining your passion and understanding yourself does not, well, so first of all, it's always a thing to share that experience with others to help them along on your journey, but also maybe even validate the one that you're on now, learn a few more tools to maybe things from a different angle to dive a little deeper. Absolutely. You know, we appreciate the work that you've put in before this workshop, and we try to incorporate it, I think, as best we can as we go along. Your input and perspective would be very welcome, Oliver. Okay, Anna asks, what is the one takeaway that you got out of this retreat? Can you share what's the purpose you found afterward? Wow, has it worked like that? Juan, I think you're equipped to answer this question. What is the one takeaway that you got? Is that how you feel this retreat has worked for you, or is that something different?
I think I said it before. For me, the one takeaway is like try to be very, very open-minded, and as Jonathan said, joking, but embrace the unknown. I think it's something that you really need to like have pretty clear, because for me, like I was like so stubborn at the beginning, like I need to come out of here with something like pretty clear, like what's gonna be my next step. And the first workshops, I did it like with that in mind. And then up just a point, like at some point something like clicked. I don't know, so a conversation with a breakout room that I did was, and I said I'm doing this wrong, and I ended up like reframe everything and went back and like, did like all my ikigai again. And for me, it's like that. You have to be really open-minded for this. And the takeaway would be like what I said. Coming out, like there's no like you're not coming out from here with one solution. And I love how you guys are so open. And as Jonathan said at the beginning, this is not like a one size fits all, and this is your solution for life. It's really like the frameworks that you have and how are you gonna use them like for your own process. So go and experiment a lot. So that would be it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I would agree with that. We have just a few minutes left in our call today, and Anna wants to know, she's a freelance interpreter, sometimes on assignment. If you have an irregular schedule and you miss some of the sessions, what do you do? Well, luckily, all of our live sessions together are recorded, and you are able to go to our website, and we'll give you a little access code to be able to see everything that we've done on the videos there. Are there follow-ups afterward? Mike, do we follow up? Are we following up as a group?
Yes, you can definitely follow up. There's also one-on-ones that you're able to schedule as well, where you can sort of choose what it is that you want to talk about. And sometimes you might even get lucky like I did when I had to leave town, and then Zoom was just, kerfuffled and didn't even work. And then it's like, we got to do it on the next day. And I was like, really? That's amazing. It felt like it all broke just for me, but that only happened one time. So I doubt you get that lucky again.
Awesome. I have a question. What is, from all you guys, what is the one thing you feel like somebody needs to know before going into this, right? We've got people who are kind of maybe on the fence, maybe thinking about it. Maybe they've been like, 6 months kind of looking at this and going, should I do this? What's like one piece of advice or one thing they should know before signing up? I'm gonna go, who would I want to pick on? Mandy, you first.
From my side, I think if they're considering or not considering, I think it's just 30 days, which I think each one of us deserve to give it to ourselves. And there is you can always delay unless you feel you're ready for it. But I think this is totally worth it. And this is the way you can show the gratitude to yourself. So that's from me.
I can popcorn it to
Go
David.
for David. Yeah.
Thanks, Mandy. I would say that you know, the gift, it's very similar, right? The gift of time to yourself is fantastic, and just be prepared to put in the work, because when you put in the work and you pay attention and you really do be honest with yourself about, you know, what's going on for you inside, you're going to get so much out of it. And that's the one thing I would offer to the group. Pop it over to Juan.
Okay, I agree with you guys. So just to say something different, I think for me it was like one of the things I get from this is that, and I would like you to know it, because it was like so much easier after, like it gets like so easy to talk to people about your stuff. And at the beginning, I guess for me, it wasn't as easy. And then you open up and you start like getting in this, like in this train of opening up in a way that that helps you like talk about the things that you need. So like just like know that you're gonna meet new people that are probably in a very similar place, or maybe in a total different place, that can help you, and that will definitely like have something for you. And so you just don't get a lot from the mentors, but you also like you get so much like from, I cannot like stress this enough, but it's like I feel like I have friends like all over the world that I can just ping. We still, I can just ping, and you're gonna learn like a lot from many people. So that would be it. And Mike, please.
I guess I believe two things about this. One is that, at least for most of us, is that we already have the answers that we're looking for. And then it's that just because we already have the answers that we might be looking for doesn't mean that we're equipped to allow ourselves to know what that is. Like it's so important to find like-minded people, and as it was put earlier, give that gift to yourself. It was something that came up to me, right? Like I don't think of myself as this super giving sort of person, but one thing that kept coming up both from other people in the retreat as well as, you know, some of our leaders here was definitely how it's difficult to give myself things. It's much easier for me to focus on other people, for me to bounce things off. Having that opportunity to have this whole like stack of stuff and this teachable, these conversations, and be able to really focus on me, but aloud rather than in the sort of hallways and mirrors inside of my own mind. It created a sort of tangibility that makes it possible to sort of understand like what it is that you're trying to tell yourself, what it is that you're afraid to tell yourself, and what it is you want to do, you know, with the time that you have. So that's what I think.
Cool. Yeah. A few questions about the time commitment. Are you able to do this with a full-time job? Do you need a sabbatical like Mandy? David, let's start with you. What do you think?
You can absolutely fit it in, right? I really thought of it as another project that I was working on. And so, you know, you just got to get the times on your schedule and then block out time to do the work. And as people have said before, you know, these tools are going to be yours to carry forward. And so, you know, you might spend an hour or 2 hours during the program because that's what you have now. But, you know, in a month from now, you might spend half a day or a day, you know, revisiting that tool. So it's absolutely doable, balancing your professional work.
Do any of the other three have anything to add as terms of time commitment? No.
I think you can totally do it. It's pretty flexible. Everything is recorded, so I missed a couple because of work, and I just like did them on weekend. And as David said, like you can keep everything, and just when you have more time, just revisit it. Yeah, it's totally doable.
Yeah.
And I had all the time in the world, so you know, I didn't have any excuses, and yet I still found ways to make some excuses.
Just to quickly add something to what Juan said is a couple of people who would miss one of the group sessions, they would get together and schedule a mini group session to watch the video together and then interact with each other. So even when people couldn't do the regularly scheduled one, the people found a way to do that with, you know, other colleagues in the retreat.
And that, Valerie, I think is the answer to your question. I mean, I'm a little biased, obviously, but I think the reason to choose Unsettled over another company, and guys, alumni, please jump in if you agree, is the community, is the opportunity to share with one another and to be present with one another and to support one another. Yeah, getting some head nods. Cool. So John, what's next, man? Where do we take this from here?
Great question. I don't know. What do you want to do? Where do you want to take this? I mean, everybody's still here. This is great. Wonderful. No, I think, you know, we're coming up on our time. So, you know, I'll first kind of thank everybody. Number one, you know, our alumni for, you know, filling the hole of their Sundays and Thursdays post-May with this wonderful experience and sharing with us, you know, your honest and your real feedback and thoughts and insights and your journey. It really means a lot to us, and I think everybody here watching. So thank you for that, and thank you for everybody who, you know, has joined us and is curious about this. You know, we are available anytime. Myself, Corey, the rest of our team, we're super happy to chat. So I just want to say a big thank you. I don't know, Corey, is there a final round robin you want to do? A question that you're dying to know from our alumni? Let me know. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you. I will just add my thanks as well for taking time out of your day, everyone, our alumni and the people who have joined us outside of the program. It's always so fun to see new faces and share with everyone. So oftentimes we end our calls with one word for how we feel. Okay, so let's go around, the four of us, the four alumni. I want to hear one word about how you're feeling about Unsettled and the future. Juan, you take us away.
Oof, I would say excited.
All right. David?
Optimistic.
Optimistic. Mandy?
They all stole my words. I will say empowered. I'll say empowered.
And finally, Mike?
Lower stakes. I'll put it that way.
Lower stakes.
Okay. Pants.
Pants. Gotta wear pants. And I invite everyone, as we're closing up, to throw in your words. What is your one word for how you feel moving forward? Throw it up in chat. Let's hear it right now. As I say once again, thank you all very much for joining us today. I hope that everyone has a better idea of how we go about this, about how this works with everyone. Remember, we have a Friday deadline signing up for this next virtual retreat, and that is the deadline for our early bird pricing. And the dates on the July retreat are July 10th through August 9th. Feeling energized, feeling excited, feeling confident. Guys, thank you all so much for being here. You can find a link to registration on our website. Maybe if there's time, John can throw it up in the chat real quick. But otherwise, it's easy. Our website, beunsettled.co. So thank you all very much once again. Have a great rest of your day. Hopefully we'll all see you soon. I can't wait to lead you through a month together. Take care, everyone. Talk to you later.